students, today we are here with a new chapter, that is the second chapter from Hornbill. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together, written by Gordon Cook and Alan East. Before entering to this chapter, let me introduce about the chapter as well as the writers. This lesson is about the adventurous and courageous voyage of the author and his family by sea on their boat Waywaker. They started their voyage in July 1976. He set sail from Plymouth, England. The first phase of their planned 3-year, 1,05,000-kilometer journey passed pleasantly. They began to encounter strong gales when they were on their second day out of Cape Town. They faced the alarmingly high sea waves which broke over the ship, injured him and his daughter Sue. They got no replies from their mayday calls in that remote corner of the world. Particularly their small children showed exemplary courage and conviction. But with the narrator's navigational skills and encouragement of children and help of his wife and crewmen Larry and Herb, they were able to save themselves. They were able to reach Amsterdam Island, where they were cheered and helped by all the 28 inhabitants of the island. Now let us come to the chapter. The author, his wife Mary, his 6-year-old son Jonathan, and his 7-year-old daughter Susanna set sail from Plymouth, England for a round-the-world voyage by sea. They started their long journey in July 1976 by their boat Waywaker, which was 23 meters long and its weight was 30 tons. It has been professionally built. They had spent many months fitting it out and testing it in the rawest weather they could find. They had planned their journey for 3 years and were supposed to cover 1,05,000 kilometers. The first phase of their journey passed pleasantly as they sailed down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. Before heading east, they took on 2 crewmen, American Larry Vigil and Swiss Herb Sigler. They had taken their services to help them tackle one of the world's rawest seas, the southern Indian Ocean. But just on their second day out of Cape Town, they began to encounter strong gales which blew continuously for the next few weeks. The size of the waves was alarming, which was up to 15 meters as high as their main mast was. On December 25, they were 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. Though the weather was extremely bad, yet they celebrated Christmas with a zeal. Even on New Year's Day, there was no improvement in the weather. At dawn on January 2nd, the waves were extraordinarily large and high. To lessen the effect of enormous endless waves, they dropped the storm jib to slow down the boat. They lashed heavy mooring rope in a loop across the stern. At about 6 p.m., there appeared a wave perfectly vertical and almost twice the height of other waves. Then a tremendous explosion shook the deck. A strong, fast stream of green and white water broke over the ship. The author's head smashed into the wheel, and he was aware of flying overboard and sinking below the waves. It seemed to him that he was approaching death. Then, unexpectedly, the author's head came out of the water. A few meters away, Viveka was nearly overturning. But a wave hurled it upright. He grabbed the guardrail and sailed through the air into its main boom. His left ribs were cracked and his mouth was filled with blue blood and broken teeth. Somehow, he found the wheel, lined up the stern for the next wave, and had gone. There was water everywhere, and Odo felt that the ship had water below. But he did not dare to leave the wheel to investigate. His wife Mary came to him. She screamed that they were sinking. She told him that the decks were smashed and they were full of water. He asked her to take the wheel. Through haste, they went down and found that Larry and her were pumping fastly and continuously. Broken timbers were hanging, the whole starboard side was bulged inwards. Clothes, crockery, charts, tins, and toys were swimming noisily in deep water. The other half swam and half crumbled into the children's cabin. Sue's head was found to be hurt. There was a big bump about her eyes. He managed to stretch canvas and secure waterproof hatch covers across the gaping holes. The hand pump started to block up and the electric pump was short circuited. Another electric pump was connected to an end pipe and luckily it started working. In the bitter cold night, they were pumping, stirring and working the radio. However, they were not getting any replay from their mayday calls. Sue's head had swollen alarmingly and she had a deep cut on her arm. By morning on January 3rd, the pumps had the water level sufficiently under control. Then they took 2 hours rest rotation. The author found that nearly all the boat's main rib frames were smashed down to the keel. They had survived for 15 hours since the waves hit. But Waywaker would not hold together long enough for them to reach Australia. On January 4th, after 36 hours of continuous pumping, they reached the last few cms of water. The author checked his charts and calculated that there were 2 small islands a few hundred kilometers to east. Now, they had only to keep pace with the water still coming in. They hoisted the storm jeep and headed for where he thought the 2 islands were. But at 4 p.m., black clouds began building up behind them. The weather continued to deteriorate throughout the night. By dawn on January 5th, their situation was again desperate. That evening, the other and his wife sat together holding hands. The motion of the ship brought more and more water in through the broken planks. They both felt that the end was very near. But Viveka rode out the storm, and by the morning of January 6th, wind had slowed down. He calculated that they were somewhere in 1,05,000 kilometers of oceans looking for a 65 kilometers wide island. The author checked and rechecked his calculations at about 2 p.m. He went on deck and asked Larry to steer a course of 185 degrees. He told Larry that if they were lucky, he would expect to see the island at about 5 p.m. Then the other went below, climbed on his bunk, and dozed off. When he woke, it was 6 p.m. and growing dark when his son Jonathan asked for a hug. Sue was right behind her. Sue told him that he has found the island. He rushed on the deck and gazed with relief at the stark outline of Amsterdam. They anchored offshore for the night. Next morning, all 28 inhabitants of the island cheered as they helped them ashore. Sue had to undertake 6 minor operations to recover. Here, the chapter is finishing. When we come to the conclusion, you see that we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. We can say the collective power of unity and the never failing confidence of the sailor made it possible for them to survive and come out from the jaws of death. Thank you. Thank you so much.